So in the last video, I tried to emphasize the mystery messenger object as an example for objects. In this video, I want to emphasize string objects so you can see another kind of object and how they work. So first of all, strings are objects, and so the mystery messenger object is going to create a random string using the getMessage method, and it's going to return it, and so message is a string that represents some random message. So we're going to call some methods on this string. The first thing we can do is we can ask how long the string is. So I'm going to create an int variable. I'll call it length. And in order to ask message how long it is, again, you write the name of the object, and then you call a method that's been defined to do the given task. And in this case, there is a length method that the Java programmers created for determining the number of characters in a string. So this should return the number of characters in a string. Now notice this looks like it's the same as this, but again, since this has parentheses at the end of it, it means it is a method. Since this doesn't have parentheses at the end of it, it means it is a variable. So those are different things. So I am allowed to create an int with this variable name. Another thing that you can do with strings is find little substrings within them. So what I could do is say, I'm going to create a new string variable, I'll call it splice, and I'll ask message to create a substring of itself, and then you have to say from a particular location to a particular location. And the idea is the very first character in a string is at location 0, and those locations we usually call them indexes. So if I say let's go from index 1 to index 5, it means that I'm going to exclude the very first character because I'm excluding 0. I'm starting at the first index. Sorry, I'm starting at the 1 index, which is actually the second character. And then it actually turns out that we're excluding this one, so we are going to exclude the 5 index. This means that we'll end up having 4 characters in our result because we include the first one and we exclude the second one, so that it's essentially 5 minus 1. There's another substring method actually. So we'll call this splice2, and you can use substring with one number in the parentheses. When you have a method that has used the same name, but you have different kinds of, these are called arguments, all right? The values that you pass into parentheses are called arguments. When you have different combinations of argument types, we say that the method is overloaded because there's more than one way that you can use the method. As I said, the substring method up here has a starting point and an ending point. The substring method that takes only one argument only has a starting point. So we're going to begin at the 1 index and keep everything after it. I'll print these up in a second, so try to keep them in your mind and we'll see what the result is. We just talked about indexes, so maybe we should look at the index of method. Let's find out where. What we can do is ask the message object, which is a string object, to go find the index of some mini string. Let's say EA. Right? We'll see if the string EA is contained in message somewhere. So the index of method searches this string for any appearance of EA, and it returns the location or the index of the first character here. All right. So if message were the string leaf, then L is the 0 index, E is the 1 index. Since this would find EA in the 1 index, the index of method would return a value of 1. So where would have a value of 1. Now if it were some other word, Larry, that does not have an EA, and we searched the whole string and never found EA, index returns a value of -1, which is an impossible index, which then indicates that the string was never found. Alright, let's print these up and see what the values are. Okay, so you can see I'm printing up 5 different things. The very first thing I'm going to print up is the original message so we can kind of refer to it. The second thing is going to be the length of that message. The third thing is going to be the first splice, which goes from 1 to 5, but is going to exclude 5. The next thing is going to be splice 2, which is going to start at 1 and include everything after it. And the third is going to be the first appearance of EA, if it appears at all. So I have to, let's see if this compiles. It does. Let's go take a look at what we see here. So, oh, nice. So this was the string that it chose. The Detroit Tigers are the most noble team in all of sports. A factual statement. The length is 60. I don't have time right now to sit here and count it out, but it looks like it's about 60 long. I'm sure it would be if we counted it out. Notice that this is a substring. Notice that it excluded the T. This is the 0 index. It included the 1 index, which is the H. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It includes 4, 5. It excluded the E. There is no E. Notice that the number of characters is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The space counts as a character. So that substring method includes the first index and excludes the second index that it includes. And notice that the total number of characters is the difference between them. And then this time when we use substring and we put in a 1, it starts at the index we put in, which is a 1. That's the 1 index, and kept everything after it. Good. And then 39 was the first appearance of the string EA. And team. So this, I bet you this is 39 if you count it all out. Pause the video and count from here. Actually, sorry, it's up here. From here, it's EA. Count 0, 1, 2, 3. This E should be 39. I'm not going to do it. You can do it. I'll tell you what, and then I'm going to keep repeating this. We'll see some more messages and see if we can get a -1. If there must be a string that I listed that doesn't have EA at all. So let's try this again, see if we get a different random message. I have friends, and that's a fact, like Agnes, Agatha, Jermaine, and Jack. Perfect. -1. There is no EA in this entire string, and therefore the index of method is returning a -1. Probably the length is 76. If we start at the 1 index and go up to the 5 index, we get space have friends, and that's a fact, blah, blah, blah. So you can see how those methods work. All right, this should have been a good introduction into objects. You see how methods get called on objects. You see how objects can be mutated, they can be changed. They have these methods which allow you to ask them questions dynamically, and you can create really, really complicated objects with all kinds of crazy behavior.